everyone.
Hey everybody.
We're starting the list of 22 things that are up in context. And we were deciding whether we should divide them up into 22 days or whether we should section like several in a day. And so we'll kind of see how it goes. But I'm thinking that there is enough content here that we could really do one a day. So they're really good, and they actually have a lot of, it's not just a plain old description, it's actually teaching you things along the way, so it's really good. All right, so today is number 1, and it's goals and directions. So we read it in the overview, but I just want to highlight some of the parts.
Okay.
All right, so, yeah, I want to read the whole thing.
They have it. They
You
have
guys-
the text.
Okay.
They've got it right. You could just translate.
Okay, I'll translate. And so remember, my translation is going to be different than yours. Mine is just an example of one person's way of looking at it, and so you can translate it into whatever way that you want. But when I think about it, I really want to focus on this idea, and it's so timely because this part, it says you won't feel overwhelmed or run out of steam. So the work involved in progressing toward goals will feel like play. And so this is really timely because you can check in and ask yourself how you are approaching these book group videos and the text, and just ask yourself, do you feel like you're approaching it like play or like it's hard work? And it's amazing how much faster you'll go and how much more you'll get done if you approach it like play. And that's a choice. It's something that you can bring to the experience instead of the other way around.
And the alternative approach, the traditional approach, if you feel like it's so ironic. The more important you feel like it is, but it's not fun, it's not play by itself. If you think of the thing as bringing the fun, bringing the play, and you think, oh, this is important and it's not fun, then we end up pushing ourselves to try to get stuff done, and that's using pain points, and we've talked about that.
Yeah.
So
So sometimes the more important it is, the more high value, high leverage, 80-20, critical few, the more important it is to you, the more likely a person is to use the traditional method to motivate them. And so,
which is only going to work for a short term, and then you end up running away from your own goals.
yeah.
So the context here of what happens if you bring the fun, you bring the energy, you bring the peak experience to your goals, to your directions, is that they are, it feels like your goals and your directions are fun.
Yeah, it really does. It feels like the things change instead of you change, instead of you being the thing that changes.
Yeah. And I watched Stacy do this. I watched her go from thinking everything in her life was either fun or not fun. It just was. And the things that she really wished she was doing and wasn't doing were because they weren't fun. And then I watched her go from doing that to deciding, becoming able to bring the fun and pick the direction she wants to go. And then she would just, like a rocket.
I felt like a rocket. Just like so focused, more focused than I'd ever been in my whole life.
But enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, oh,
No.
It was like enjoying it. I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah, focused and enjoying.
Yes.
Like a rocket.
And doing the exact things that before she thought were not fun, and do I have to do this and that kind of thing, so imagine what that could do for your goals. Being able to bring that to any goal and direction you pick.
Yeah.
That's the context of having this unconditional peak experience and your goals and directions. So put that in your words.
Yes.
Figure out what that represents to you.
Yeah, and you might use a different word than fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes people have an association of fun being something that isn't bringing them to their goals. Sometimes they may think that anything that's fun is something that's not getting them closer to their goals.
Especially if their view is that fun is an escape from your goals or something
Right,
like that, right?
right,
There are
right.
easy ways to see how that could happen.
Yeah. So I think eventually you'll get the idea of what we're talking about of fun, but you use your own words. I've had people run up against that word fun, and coming up we'll talk more about play. So fun and play. They're like, I just have no place for fun and play, and they actually were like racking their mind for anything that they considered play that was getting them toward their goals. And it was they gave a specific example of playing dolls with their daughter, and that literally every moment they spent was like nails on the chalkboard. It was so hard for
That's
them.
not play.
That was her interpretation of what play was. And play, she hated play. She would avoid it like the plague. She'd much rather work than play.
Plague.
Plague.
Funny. Yeah. Yeah, so some of the terms for this are like getting in the flow, being in the zone,
Yes.
that kind of stuff. Like that concept when you're being productive on what's important to you, what matters to you, when you're being ultra productive and enjoying the process.
Yeah, and I wanted to say one thing that's so cool about this translation stage is that if you're translating to teach someone else, you'll use different stories and analogies and experiences than if you're teaching yourself. And one of the cool things is at the beginning you might not have a word that represents what we're talking about. Play and fun, it might not work for you, and you might not be able to come up with a word that resonates with you, like maybe being in the flow or in the zone, and you're like, none of these apply
Yeah.
to me.
Okay.
But this is what I want to say, and that is because you're translating for your hero, you can look back on an experience in your life where you felt like this. And you're like, I don't have a word for it, but I know what it feels like. Because the time I was in a dance competition, or the time I was playing soccer, or the time I was painting 10 paintings a day, whatever it is, they're like, I remember that time in my life. So what you can do is you can actually, what we call recordize in experience, meaning recapture the feel of it, the feeling of it. It's more like a feel.
Yeah, because, well, yeah, we can go into
We'll go into that later, maybe.
what recordizing is and why
Yeah,
Okay.
but if you've done it, you can remember, and especially if it's something that's still a part of your life, you'll be able to recordize it even more clearly.
And that's a great way you could, instead of trying to come up with a word that describes, you could say, like you used dance or painting.
Yeah.
You could call it getting in the splits, getting in the painting, getting in the dance mode, whatever that mode that you have an experience with.
Yeah.
You could call it after the last time you experienced it, or a time that really represents it.
Yeah,
you
and
could call it
even
being
work.
in that mode.
Like some people get in that with their job or with their business. They're like, oh, I know what it feels like when I get that focused, productive enjoyment. And when you look back, you're just in awe of what you did. It was so much more than maybe normal, but you enjoyed the entire process. So I know everyone has had some experience with it, and even if it was a long time ago, everyone has had it. And so recordize that, like get a hold of it, the feel of that. And that's what we're talking about when we say these words like play play and not fun. Yeah, fun.
And then think of this, why is this a context? Why are we calling these contexts for Unlimited Peak Experience?
Yes, why are we calling these contexts? Can we talk about that?
Okay, sure, yeah, let's talk about it later. Another
It's
time.
like an intro thing that we should talk about, but I think I don't want to overwhelm you.
Yep,
So let's
this
talk
is
about
good for
it
today.
tomorrow.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Take care, guys.